Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Open Door Show from Property CEO. An unusual setup because Ian and I are here together, normally in our individual studios, but actually we're here today recording this session of Open Door up in Birmingham. This is where we do all of our training in the room up here in Birmingham by the NEC. And so tomorrow we have a room full of students out in front of us, but today there's none here, is there?
It's just us. It's just us. But all glamour, hey, Birmingham.
It's all glamour, hey, Birmingham. What's not to like? So here we are. Over the next 30 minutes, as always, we take a deep dive into the world of small-scale property development. But today, just the two of us, no guests today. So, Ian, what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about credibility. I think one of the big questions that a lot of people have, particularly when they're getting into development to start off with, is how can they get that credibility with going to raise money, we're going to buy property that we're going to be converting or land that we're going to be building on. But of course, there's that perception that maybe I don't have the credibility to do it. I've never done it before. So I'm going to be talking about, I've got 5 things for you to bear in mind as you enter the world of development to make you highly credible.
And that's obviously a challenge. I know probably a lot of you are thinking this is, well, I come from this background. Maybe I'm a restaurateur. Maybe I work in retail. Maybe I work in IT. How possibly can anyone take me seriously? Well, this man's going to tell you over the next 30 minutes in 5 top tips. So, Ian, 5 top tips.
Fantastic. I think the first thought to bear in mind is about creating a brand. So lots of businesses obviously create brands. If we think of any of the particularly the retail brands or the products and so on, they spend millions actually investing in the way they present themselves and how we perceive them, all to encourage people to buy their products or work with them. And we've got to kind of do the same thing here as a developer. So really important to be able to spend millions on a Swiss budget. No, what you've got to do is create something that when people think of you and think of your development kind of business, that they see some values, they see some things that resonate with them and reflect your values. Now, I think one of the things that's very true, very different about property developers is that their personal brand and their business brand is very, very close together. It's not exactly one and the same. There are some significant differences, but it is very close. So all of the people that you're going to be doing business with are going to be doing business with you. But we can create a whole lot of collateral behind us that's going to make us look good. The 2 main things that I think you're going to need in tools of the trade. The first one, most important one, is a website. So when you're presenting yourself out there, you may be the first time that you meet people. The second tool of the trade is going to be a business card. But what most people will do if they, once they've parted company with you, is actually check you out. They'll go onto your website, and what they want to see is that the person that they met, the rather wonderful person they met, and all of the values and the information that you gave is kind of reflected in the website that you've got, and the website looks professional. So I think the key thing is don't think of your property development business as just being you and everything that you do. It is that, but it's more than that. You need to build a brand around you, and it's got to look professional. So that means getting a logo designed, thinking about the design of your website. We're not looking for it to be cheap and cheerful, but we don't need to spend a fortune. It really is just a shop window, if you like, for people to check us out. And I think perhaps one of the biggest things to remember is that when people go onto our website, they're checking it out having met us first. So we are unlikely to draw on hordes of people coming from Google, looking for us or looking for developers in our area. The reality is that people are going to be looking on your website because they've met you and they want to check you out. Or maybe you've made an appointment to go and do a viewing or meet with an architect, whatever. So people meet you or hear about you first, and then they check you out. So create a brand would be my number 1 top tip.
And so what we're not expecting is to come to a number 1 search on Google for people searching property developers. That's not how it's going to work. And as you say, we all do it, don't we? We all do that. We get a business card and we go back and we check them out and see if they are who they say they are. And if it's a rubbish website, we're not that impressed, are we?
I think it just speaks volumes about who you're dealing with. So if there's not enough care gone into it, if it looks messy, if there's sort of typos all over the place, then that just speaks volumes about the sort of person that you're going to be dealing with. So
don't get me to do your website because there could be typos. Is that what you're saying?
Very good point.
And so this brand, then, you talk about website. What else does this brand encompass?
Well, as I said, you need to have it looking professional. I think the professional word is the biggest driver in terms of what you're aiming for. I think you're not looking to be gimmicky. That's one of the things that I would say was particularly can be problematic when people try a little bit too hard to make themselves look different. It's a fairly conservative industry that we're in, and so it doesn't need to look different. It just really does need to look that you're kind of robust, professional, and so most of the time it's a case of keeping it simple. Best advice actually for website design in particular is that you do not need to spend a fortune. It really is a case of go and have a look what else is out there. There are so many good websites about. You'll see websites that resonate with you, and then you can borrow their design cues when you create your own website. So
this website, this branding is the number one thing we've got to do. We've got to do this out the blocks almost before we do anything. Yeah, I think one of the challenges that you've got with there's so many things that you need to do as a developer, which includes going out and meeting people and having going to see agents and building your team and so on. The challenge is kind of a chicken and egg thing. So what in terms of doing it in the right order, if you go out there and you try and meet with agents and you don't have that brand behind you, you know it's for a very good reason. You know that it's work in progress. The reality is it just looks like you're underprepared, or it looks like you just don't have a brand. So do the branding first. Get the website designed, get the business cards designed. You can do it relatively quickly and inexpensively, and then you're good to go. When everybody then checks you out, they can see that the website and so on is in place. Right. He's promised us 5 top tips. That's the first one. Build your brand. What's the second? Oh, the second one is, I think, a real biggie when it comes to credibility for you personally, because I think there's this kind of tendency to feel that if you're doing development for the first time, that people are going to see straight through you. There's a kind of imposter syndrome. I've never done it before. It's who's going to believe in me, and where do I get this credibility from? But of course, the reality is that you don't actually have to lay any bricks as a developer, or you don't even have to choose the curtains. You've got a team of people that are going to be doing that for you. These people are so disappointed because you all wanted to lay your own bricks, didn't you? I know that's what you wanted to do. But there's and all of the people, if we add up all the kind of the component parts to a development business, there are going to be potentially dozens of people that are going to be involved. But certainly the key protagonists, project manager, architect, structural engineer, and so on, these people are likely to have many years, many decades of experience in terms of what they bring to the party. And of course, those are the people that are doing the work. So when people look at our business, look at our development business, it's great. They see us, and that's fine because we're the CEO of that business. So they sort of checked us out on that first night, but there's more to it, what you're saying. Exactly. Yeah. So and particularly on the website, when you go on the website, there'll be a wonderful picture, headshot of you, bio, not Richie, you. And then underneath that, a bit of a bio about yourself. But then you can have pictures and bio, kind of a few words about your professional team. And again, what's happening there, we're not passing those people off as being employees of your business, but what's happened here is that you, as a development brand, have chosen to work with kind of some preferred partners, and you're going to put those partners on your website so people can actually see who does the work. So when it comes to the design, for example, then you've got your architect on there, and people legitimately will see, right, okay, I know it's not Richie doing the design. He can't design houses for toffee, but the architect absolutely can. And of course, what they're then seeing is potentially, if you added it all up, it would be centuries of experience and probably thousands of projects when you add up the experience of your architect, structural engineer, and so on and so forth. So I would absolutely be looking to kind of leverage that expertise, particularly on the website, because ultimately that's the reality. Those are the people that are going to be doing the work. And it's not going to be down to you to get the trowel out and start laying bricks. So you as the head of this brand with all of these people behind him. I guess you've almost got to imagine that if you were sat in a meeting trying to convince someone to want to work with you, to lend you money or give you a project, you've almost got all these people behind you with all those years of experience, and you're the head of that team, you're the CEO. That gives you huge credibility.
Yeah, and I think when we view the kind of look through the lens of what we're actually trying to do here, it is very much the role of the developer is putting all these things together. I mean, the reality is that no projects happen without the developer. I mean, the architect relies on work and commissions coming in from people that are developing property. And actually, it's almost nobody else, because even if you were building an extension on your house, that is still developing property. So from the whole gamut.
Don't need a website for that, though, do you?
Don't need a website for that. But that's where the custom comes from. Nothing gets built unless they get the commission to do the work. And it's the same for all those professionals. So yeah, you are approaching it. You're simply the catalyst that makes all these things happen.
So we've got a brand.
We've
got your team that we're leveraging.
We have.
You only give us 2 points so far, and he promised us 5, didn't he? So we want 3 more. What's your third?
I think the other thing you need to do is to know your audience. And this is where, again, you've got a big advantage, because when we think about who we're actually presenting to, who do we need to convince about our credibility, it's actually a pretty short list. So we know that we're going to be getting in front of commercial agents, because those are the people we're going to be buying property from. We've got residential agents who we're going to be selling our property when we've built them, and also working with those people in terms of confirming things like valuations and the kind of fit and finish and defining what it is that we're going to be building. We're certainly going to work on the kind of financial side. So we're going to have commercial lenders, we're likely to have private investors, kind of brokers and so on. And of course, there's our team of professionals. And of course, they're quite happy, to work with us, but we still need to look credible. We still need to come across as a client that they would wish to have, somebody that's going to be paying the bills and is going to be successful. So the good news then is that when we come to doing things like the website, we're able to look at the world and look at our website through each of their eyes independently. So make sure that we're ticking all the right boxes.
We know what we need to do to satisfy them to see that we're credible. So it's not a completely undefined audience, and we're having to cover a million bases. It's quite narrow, I guess.
It is pretty narrow. And I think the other thing to bear in mind is that there's quite a lot riding on these relationships that you're trying to create. So normally, if you're building a website, you might have casual visitors and so on, and there's no real kind of nothing really riding on it. But with all of these people, it's typically a 4 or maybe 5-figure sum that's at stake. So a commercial agent, if they recommend and put forward your offer to be accepted by their client, if that doesn't come off and months down the line it falls out of bed because you're a bit flaky or whatever, then that's their commission gone, or at least they're back to the drawing board. So they've got something riding on it. Ditto residential agents. Professionals obviously get a fee, and they're going to want to make sure that they get paid. And then, of course, on the investment side, you've got people that are potentially lending you some quite significant sums of money. So again, everybody has a significant kind of financial stake in a relationship with you, which really does kind of reinforce why it needs to be, you need to look professional and tick all these boxes up front, because it makes a big difference.
Well, just as an interesting point, though, in terms of you've got these lenders, these commercial or private lenders that are wanting to lend you money. I mean, it's an obvious question that maybe people are thinking out there, is that you're going to put forward these industry professionals on your websites. We just talked about that in point number 2, leverage your team. Well, now we're talking about know your audience. Are they not going to be a little bit surprised that you don't employ these people directly, these professionals?
No, I think if we look at what's the way in which the industry works, then if you were building an extension, you would not employ, you wouldn't get out and recruit an architect from an employment perspective. It's basically a contract. So all of these people are contracting with you as a client, rather than joining your payroll for on a temporary contract or fixed period or whatever. So no, I think people are fully anticipating that you're going to have preferred professionals that you're going to be working with. I think the key thing is making sure that then is what is seen by people straight from the outset. So I think sometimes a mistake can be to have that lack of visibility of that professional team. But it's not smoke and mirrors. Those, as I said, are the people that are going to be doing the work for you. So absolutely, quite rightly, they should be visible to everybody, so everybody can see exactly who that team is that's going to deliver a project that your business is going to be building out.
And I guess what we know is that is the industry norm. Okay, so even well-established developers, even quite large developers, won't employ their own teams. Some larger developers, and not many, will actually employ their own architects. Very few, I don't know of any that employ their own structural engineers, probably not their own project managers. So it is the industry norm. Now, one thing you talked about is that visibility. You just mentioned visibility. And again, there's a question which some people might be thinking here is this whole sort of chicken and egg. We've got to get these people on. But one of your audience members, one of these stakeholders you talked about was the professionals. Mm-hmm. Yet we just said we want the professionals on our website. So when we're talking to these professionals, first off, they're not going to be on our website because we haven't engaged with them. How do we go about that?
Yeah.
See, I think I might have called him out here. What do you think, folks?
It's all starting to unravel. So you're absolutely right. Chicken and egg thing. If you're going to recruit professionals, your first professional, how do you do that if you don't have your professionals on your website? Well, the answer is you just do it in two phases. So first off,
what a cop out.
Isn't it a cop out? First off, you would still have on the about page or the team page, you'll have a smiling, professional looking headshot of your good self and a bio about you. And then underneath, I would recommend that you've got a panel where you're just talking about the fact that you work with a raft of professionals, a team of professionals with lots of experience that have been handpicked by you, et cetera, et cetera. So we've just got a paragraph about the extended team without mentioning anybody specifically. And then once you go out and start recruiting your preferred partners for professionals, then I would probably make sure that you've got a kind of critical mass. Maybe you've got 3 of them or more. That's when I would then put them on the website. Absolutely make sure that you've got their permission to do that. I would tend to sort of make that part of the, if you like, a bit of an assumptive sell, perhaps at the front end. So when you're talking about appointing people as preferred partners, then it's just to explain the way that works in your business is that you would look for them to go on the website, just a picture, a headshot, and a brief bio, and that then a bit of free advertising for them, and also enables people to see exactly what they're getting in terms of your team.
And I guess as well, it's important to know that these professionals, out of all of those sort of stakeholders that you talked about the agents, commercial resi agents, investors, private and commercial. These professionals are particularly looking for new developers. And so they will be, they'll be interested, they'll be enthused to talk to you, they want to get involved. They probably want to sell to you, actually. It's just you just identifying that's where you want them to help you, to help them, because that's how it's going to work. So that wouldn't be unusual for industry professionals to do that.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got 3 things. If I can recap, I think we had the brand, we were talking about leveraging the team, and now, of course, we're talking about your audience. Mm-hmm. Have you got 2 more? Is this true? There are 2 more.
There are 2 more. I can give you. So the 4th one is actually take care of the little things.
Oh, that's me.
So what I mean by that is that we
that's for you, didn't it? It's not me at all, is it?
Don't.
And there was me thinking it was me as the little person, but it's not.
Yeah, by all means, take care of Richie. But more specifically, when it comes to your brand, then it's the little things that people notice. One of the things that we've kind of evolved in such a way as to have to make kind of sometimes back in the dim and distant past, life or death decisions based on a pretty scant information. So back in the days when we were living in caves, we had to make some decisions pretty quickly. And that kind of rather old-fashioned mindset has kind of continued with us. Our subconscious is really adept at making kind of snap judgments, because if you were facing a saber-toothed tiger, you didn't have kind of half an hour to work out whether it was a nice friendly one or one that was going to eat you. So you made those snap decisions. And we still do that today. We pick up, and the subconscious is really adept at it, picking up on all sorts of different cues that from all sorts of, all this information that comes in, and we judge people based on those things. So you might be thinking, well, it's my website looks great, business card is superb, logo looks absolutely wonderful, But the reality is that you could get some of these other smaller things wrong and people won't do business with you. It's a people business, so people do business with people that they like, and people, particularly people when they understand and they recognize kind of values that resonate or values that they like. And so it's important for you to convey that. But it is the little things. It's things like the body language and the eye contact. It's how you look and how you dress. Yeah, exactly.
Not much effort today, but frankly, at least my body language is good.
Yeah. And it's taking care of those things that makes a massive difference. And it's big because you're on show all the time. If you're in an environment where you potentially could be talking to people that one of those that people that's on that list of people that you want to be doing business with, whether that's an investor, a professional, a lender, whatever, then you need to be kind of cognizant that you are on show. And so, and people, they see absolutely everything, even if you've not even said hello yet, and they've simply seen you enter the room. Yeah, they're clocking it all. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of the little things. I think it's also true in terms of the brand itself. So I see quite a lot of websites from developers, and interestingly, some of them really kind of just lack that professional polish because they haven't taken care of the simple things. They've got a freebie website because it was cheap, and they saved themselves 30 quid, and their email address is a Gmail address and so on. And it's things like that just kind of scream either amateur or not very big, not very professional, not very polished. And as I said, it's that professional kind of thing that we're looking for. We want people to look at our brand, and we're not trying to pretend to be any bigger, any different to what we are. But the professional thing, we can turn that dial up without overstating or in any way what we do. Is just making sure that we look good from every single direction.
I think that eye contact one is really interesting, isn't it? Because you say you could build this terrific brand. We could have the best team leveraged. We totally understand our audience. And I think for some of you out there, you might be thinking, I'm good at all that, almost that office stuff. I can talk to the people, I can get them on my brand. But actually, then it falls apart literally by not making that eye contact. Obviously, I'm looking at our camera there. But if I was talking to you looking like this, you can now see my eyes are looking down. And would you be interested to do business with me?
No.
You probably would. Your confidence goes. What do you mean you wouldn't generally?
No, just generally.
And that body language, isn't it? It's how you enter the room, whether you enter with confidence or not. And of course, the handshake is well known, isn't it?
The handshake is, and interestingly, some of the kind of the reality or some of the learnings about things with body language has come on leaps and bounds over the year. I remember that back in the day, I was told that a firm handshake was the order of the day. And I think we're all kind of familiar and had experience of the kind of the limp lettuce type handshake, where it kind of leaves you feeling a little odd. But the reality is that apparently the body language experts tell us that it isn't a firm handshake that does the job. It's a reciprocal handshake. So if somebody delivers you a limp lettuce handshake, yeah, you deliver a limp lettuce handshake back. Firm handshake, again, meet it with a firm handshake. So it's understanding things like that can make a difference. Because of course, what's happening there is that people you're effectively generating some kind of common ground. They think, I don't know what it is about this person, but yeah, we're kind of
he's not looking at me, I'm not looking at him. No, we don't handshake.
We're looking at
and we're sticking our bodies together. Okay, what's the fifth one then? What's our fifth thing about getting credibility?
Well, I think the fifth thing, and in many respects it's the most important one, is
so we need a drum roll.
A drum roll that moves the camera makes everybody see it.
That's all I could do.
I think it's about you, frankly, and it's about your own mindset and about how you approach it. Because I think the tendency, quite naturally, for people doing anything for the first time, is that we're on the back foot. So we've got kind of that bit of imposter syndrome. And we know as we go into development for the first time that we are going to be surrounding ourselves with professionals that have been there and done it. That's what they do day in, day out. The agents that we're going to be talking to, they've done business with other developers. And so we kind of, it's very easy for us to just have a bit of a downer and think of ourselves as being like a fish out of water, that we are going into this world and people are going to be able to see straight through us, even with the website in place and even with the reciprocal handshakes, that people are going to be thinking, this is a complete newbie. I'm not quite sure they're going to be up to the job. Now, I can tell you that the industry does need newbies, because if there wasn't any people coming into the industry, then guess what? They're not building enough houses as it is, but there would be even fewer houses built. And of course, what happens is that for everybody involved, whether it's a commercial lender looking to lend money, whether it's professionals looking for clients, then the ones that they like the best are undoubtedly the ones that have got lots of experience, because they've had lots of work through them. But for every one of those, they had a first job, and then there was a second job and a third job and so on. So people, all of those people that you'll be connecting with are going to kind of recognize that, yes, there's a question mark, but equally, you could well be the next long-term client where you have multiple jobs. So they do need you coming in. As I said, you're not relying on your skills as a technical person within the industry. You're not laying bricks or designing anything or understanding the planning rules at a technical level there where you can sign them off. You've got a team around you that's going to be doing that. And I think the most important thing is reminding yourself of that. So the example we always like to give with this kind of credibility thing and this imposter syndrome is good old Mr. Branson, Richard Branson, when he... Sir Richard Branson.
Sorry, sir.
If you're watching. And he...
Just tune in, apparently. Has watched a few Open Doors, Sir Richard.
Has he? Okay. So when he launched one of his latest ventures, which is Virgin Voyages, the cruise line business, of course, to the best of my knowledge, that was his first cruise line business. So did everybody think, well, this is going to be a laugh? You know, he doesn't know one end of the boat from the other. It's all going to go horribly wrong because he's never done it before. And of course, the reality is quite the opposite. People thought, here is a person with, a good pedigree, a business person. And what they're doing is they're transferring that business skills and kind of focusing those business skills in a different industry sector. We've got an opportunity there. And for sure, Richard Branson is not going to be driving the boat, Sir Richard Branson. What's going to happen is that there's going to be a team of people, and quite a lot of people, that are going to be making...
Does he drive the boat or captain the ship?
Okay, yeah, like we did there. Not particularly up on my nautical terminology, to apologize. But yeah, absolutely right. He is not going to be doing any of those things. Instead, he is going to be appointing a crew that's going to be doing those things. And at a smaller scale, that's exactly what we're going to be doing as new developers. We've got a team of people that are going to be doing that. It's not going to be down to us to pilot the ship or drive the boat. We've got a team of people that are doing that. And the important thing there, I mean, that's the fact, but the important thing is for you to recognize that. So it's almost give yourself a bit of a snap around the chops before you go out to remind yourself that, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur that's basically putting a team together to take advantage of a business opportunity. And actually, nobody would get paid a dime if I didn't do this, because the only way they get income, whether it's because I've borrowed money and I pay them interest, whether they get commission because I bought a property, or whether I'm paying their professional fees, is just purely because of what, I've got out of bed this morning and decided that this is what I'm going to do. So it's just a case of reminding yourself when you go into those situations that you are the entrepreneur that's making this all happen. And there's no requirement on you to know the technical side of things. You are appointing a team that's going to work the magic at a detail level. You're simply the person that has instigated it. And reminding yourself of that just kind of puts you in the right mindset when you go out and tell the world what you do. And it kind of resonates. I think when you're confident about your own story and practice your elevator pitch to make sure that you're very comfortable with it, then people, it comes across entirely credible.
Good stuff. Well, there we go. Look, perhaps you're listening to this as maybe a completely new person who wants to get into property. Maybe you're one of our students and you're refreshing your memory here on lots of things, but hopefully you knew all of this. This is what we teach our students. And then I think maybe you can look in, you can see this today, that building that brand was the first one, of how a brand is so important straight out the blocks. and leveraging that team, those brands and that team going hand in hand together. So you are the CEO, you're heading that group of people. And the important thing is, as Ian said, this third point was know that audience, know your audience. Who is it you're putting that brand to? Who do you have to impress? And it is quite narrow, surprisingly quite narrow.
Yeah.
So it makes that job a lot easier. I love the fourth point, which is take care of the little things. That eye contact, the body language. Yeah, I know it's not always about me, but most of the time. But I think that is where I can see, and I'm sure you can see that everything could fall apart if you don't get that right. And finally, at the end, that imposter syndrome, which many, many people suffer from, so you won't be alone. But just think of yourself. I think, as Ian said, think of yourself as the Richard Branson, as the Sir Richard Branson of the property world. That's how it would work. There we go. Hopefully you can see that makes sense. Hopefully you can perhaps just get a little bit of an idea how maybe you could get credibility in being a property developer. If you'd like to come and spend a bit of time with us, if you like the idea of getting into property, then come and join us. We have some free training, okay? It's available for a limited amount of time. I've recorded it. I put it together. It's called Six Figure Roadmap. The link, if you want it, is propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. Grab a pen. I'm going to say that again in just a minute. You can come and spend a couple of hours with me, and I'll give you an introduction to the property development world. That link again, propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. Hopefully you've enjoyed this edition of Open Door. Open Door shows are released on YouTube every Thursday at 7 o'clock. So please look out for the next one. And whenever you watch this, whether it's evening, in the middle of the day, or the morning, thanks for watching. See you again soon.
Take care, bye.